So all week, it's been a very harrowing week for most people, for most Nigerians, especially with the data that has been coming out. And so talking about what quick wins, action plan to quickly get Nigeria out of recession is what we're all about. Of course, the federal government is assuring Nigerians that the second half of the year is looking quite positive, and they'll be releasing more statements with regards to what their plans are for the economy at this time. And one of the many things at this time that a lot of people hope will be one of the instruments used to move the economy forward is the budget. Last week, the Federal Executive Council approved the 2017-2019, the three-year fiscal plan for the administration. So we're taking a look at some of the issues and, well, looking at the budget in general. I'm being joined now on the program by Dr. Tunji Ogunyemi. He's a budget analyst and an economic historian from the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Good morning to you, Dr. Ogunyemi. Thank you so much for joining me on the program. So, before we talk about, 2017, let's do a kind of SWOT analysis, if you will, of 2016's budget, even though we don't know how much, has been implemented from it, but we know we've got about over 400 billion naira has been released for capital spending. What are your takeaways from 2016 that should form the foundation of 2017 budget?
I would rather say that the government should continue to invest significantly into the capital budget. Don't forget, this year's budget is 6.06 trillion naira, out of which 1.9 trillion naira had been budgeted for capital expenditure. And if anything grows the economy, it is the capital expenditure. In other words, this year's budget had been predicated on the foundations that what goes into growing the economy will be about a quarter of that amount. I think the government could do more in that area by significantly investing into the capital budget and then driving the economy more. I think it's high time we started the issues of driving the economy now, and rhetorics about who did what and who did not do what should just stop.
Do you think that this administration seems to have learned from history, looking at how, in terms of putting together the budget, how long it takes for the budget to even pass, the National Assembly's scrutiny before it now gets finally assented to from the presidency, and then we see the late start of implementation of the budget? Do you think that we've actually learned from history? We have actually learned nothing from history. In fact, what we have learned from history is that we have learned nothing from history. And that is because it's like our political leaders have not firmed up enough with the areas of budgeting, and particularly the policy of passing the budget expeditiously. In the last 16 years, Harriet, you'll be surprised that no single budget, except that for 2007, had been passed expeditiously enough to begin from the first day of the year for which that budget will be relevant. This year's budget lasted for about more than 4 months before it was passed. I think we should just do something about that. We should do something about that. I mean, if we have a financial year, the Financial Year Act of 1980 actually provides that our financial year should begin from January 1 and head in December 1. And in the second quarter of a financial year, your budget was not yet ready. I mean, it's not excusable under any circumstances. So how can we build a budget in recession? At least the basics that we know from the MTF is that we have oil benchmark of $42.50 per barrel, production output of 2.2 million barrels per day, yes, and an exchange rate of 290 naira to the dollar. So, in practical terms and in realistic terms, does that seem like it's a budget that's going to take us out of recession, or that's going to form part of what will make up the budget that will take Nigerians out of recession?
This is a good try, particularly the realistic fixture of the price of fuel or price of oil at $42 per barrel. I would have loved a situation in which the price of oil is fixed actually at $40 and not $42 per barrel. But $42 will not be too far from what is actually operational now. I mean, oil sells between $40 and $45 per barrel now. So, but it is so important not to be too optimistic with the quantity of production. I think the 2.2 billion barrels per day that the MTF has set up to 2019 is rather a little bit on the over optimistic side. I think it would be just fair to put it at about 1.6 million barrels per day. The reason is simple. You have people, you have a very, very volatile Niger Delta, and you have people who are just insistent on destroying the oil infrastructure and oil installation. I mean, these are people you have not placated. These are the people that you have not succeeded actually reducing to inaction. So I think it would be just fair to put it at less than 2 million barrels per day.
So do you think that the budget, the 2017 budget, could be the government's exit strategy?
Yes, I think so. I think so on a significant scale. I think so.
But what would be your priority areas and why?
I would rather advise the government to invest significantly in infrastructure. See, you don't drive any economy by mere rhetorics about who did what in the past, who did not do now. You just have to invest in the basic infrastructure. You must just do something about electricity. The roads are just absolutely bad. You must do something about the security infrastructure. Now, these three put together will guarantee more productivity in the system. And it is a shame that up to this moment, we are still talking about the issue of fixing the roads. We're just talking about the issue of energy. I mean, take the least producer in the market, or even service provider, like a barber, for example. He cannot do anything. Modern production and productivity activity are driven by electricity. And so if we have deficiency in the production of electricity, no government cannot just have any excuses.
But then, Dr. Ogunyemi, as a historian,
yes,
you must also remember that the population has grown over time.
Yes.
We're about over 170 million
yes,
Nigerians now.
Yes.
And so the infrastructure that we have at the moment was infrastructure that was not provided for this many Nigerians. Mm. So do you think the strategy in terms of, because I'm not holding brief for the federal government here, but we must commend the efforts so far in terms of trying to improve some of this infrastructure, the work that's ongoing on some of the roads rehabilitation, plans by the Minister of Power Works and Housing to fix electricity, for instance, and even talking about the housing sector as a whole. But still looking at it, do you think that we should have more infrastructure come on, or still continue to try to fix what we have and what we use at the moment?
I would rather say that we should step up the efforts at fixing what we have now. Step up the efforts on the roads. For instance, if the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road had been fixed, say, around 2002, 2004, we would not be talking about, more money to fix that road now. It's the most traversed road, arguably, in the Nigerian Federation. And no excuse can be said or can be laid for not doing that road.
But you see that all sectors are actually struggling at the moment. We have power works and housing struggling. We have infrastructure, the aviation struggling. A couple of airlines have actually, closed shop and gone home. We have businesses who have shut down because it's just been a very tight space at the moment. So you're saying that we should have an increased spending in key sectors, infrastructure, for instance, of course, roads and the rest of it. Yes. But what about in terms of financing? Because whether you like it or not, we have to always come down to money.
Yes.
Money plays a very important role.
You're right.
And so we're talking about interest rates. What's your take on what should be the interest rate? Private sector has actually, organized private sector has actually said that at this time, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank should begin to look at reducing monetary policy rate. Yeah, so what's your take on that?
The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria cannot be more correct when they have started to advocate for a reduction in the interest rate. They're right, so that the private sector can give some helping hand to the public sector. I know for sure that the largest employer of labor in the Nigerian system, Nigerian economy, is the government. No doubt about that. But the Nigerian government alone cannot just do it. The private sector needs to be helped. And then, of course, incentives, particularly to those areas that will provide more jobs. Agriculture,
4.3% was what was reported as it grew by in the second quarter of the year. So that seems to be doing very well. But do you think it's done well enough? Because we still have a lot of people. Unemployment rate was about 19.3% for the second quarter of the year. And we still have the private sector not contributing, not employing as much. Everybody still has their eye on the public sector. So agriculture as one route, building the value chain to try to ensure that that sector contributes a whole lot of jobs, to help grow the economy, what do you think should be the action plan? We have enough action plans as it is, but as you already rightly pointed out, it's not rhetorics. It's not a monologue conversation. It should be a dialogue.
Yes.
So how do we get this conversation on?
I think the university system can help. The university system can help. I think the most critical problem we have now is our youth not being in jobs. They just don't have avenues to get employed. And the largest employer of labor within the Nigerian developing economy is agriculture. Now, we can become missionary in that area. We can become very aggressive in that area by instructing the universities to produce classes, young classes of farmers, crop growers and animal husbandmen that will take it as a missionary activity to produce and go into actually agricultural production. And then the private sector can come in the area of agribusiness to process what is produced and then lay it in the market sphere. Now, this can only be done by a reduction. There's a great reduction in what goes into the investment species from the banks.
In your conversation with students, do you get the impression that they are ready to become farmers? They are ready to look at the opportunity of making money, not just to put in their pocket, but also to help build the economy, because, of course, when you make money, you pay tax.
Yes.
And also put food on the table to try to ensure food security. Do you get the impression that young people are ready to go to the farms?
Not only that, our youth are now very positive about farming. I actually have a group of about 40 students who I'm championing and who, of course, do have their own separate farms. The Obafemi University is actually doing something beautiful in this area by permitting its commercial farm. The university has 3 farms: the research farm, the commercial farm, and, of course, the farm for demonstration. Now, the commercial farm is let out to those who are interested for just small money. And people are investing in animal husbandry. And those who have invested in husbandry are reaping the fruits. It can be done. I mean, a group of 20 students came to me and said, "Sir, we don't have any jobs. What can you do for us?" I wrote a proposal for them. It's okay, well, you are interested. You like animals. So why can't you raise Alsatian dogs, Rottweilers, German Shepherd? And these people are very interested in that. And they have been succeeding. We just got a piece of land in Ejigbo, north of Ife, for them. And they are smiling to the banks.
So
it can be done.
For you, priority right now, and that's what the federal government has said, according to the statement from the Vice President's office on Wednesday. Agriculture and the solid mineral sector are priority, some of the priority areas that they'll be focusing on in the very near future to help, grow the economy. And so for you, agriculture should be on the front burner, should continue to be on the front burner.
Exactly.
But who should drive it?
I think it should be driven by government agencies, because that is the truth. See, we have an army of university students coming into the university system without any hope of using their certificates to get any jobs. And they are in large numbers. These are very, very vibrant people. They have the energy, they have the vision, they have the ICT knowledge, and we're just doing nothing about that. We can get leaders for them, divide them into groups, and move them into agric settlements. It's been done before. It's in our history. Chief Obafemi did that by establishing agric settlements and pushing youth into those areas with a view to producing. And the Western region was the better for it. It can be repeated.
This is already September, second day of September. It might be early days yet, but as of now, yes, we've heard that the Federal Executive Council has, approved the MTEF, but we're not hearing anything about when the 2017 budget will be presented to the National Assembly.
Actually, I've said it on some different platforms that the time for budget, it's time to begin to budget for a year. It actually should begin in August. And that any budget that is not ready by September, October of a fiscal year is actually late. So if the 2017 budget, and nobody is doing anything about 2017 budget now, well, I doubt if the budget of that coming year will be passed expeditiously.
Dr. Ogunyemi, thank you so much for joining me on the program and sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.